Alright, so today we've got an update on my project car here, my 1997 Infiniti Q45. So let's get into it. What's changed? Well, not too much appearance-wise. You'll just notice that I have different wheels now. Yes, it's awesome. Finally got rid of those ugly stock wheels that this thing comes on. Well, they can look decent if they're like in decent condition, but mine were not in the slightest, so I had to replace them. So I found these wheels. They came off of a G35, wheels and tires for $220. That's a good deal. That's a really good deal. And now these wheels aren't in like the best condition either. You can see if you go up close to them, they have like remnants of plasti dip or something on them. I'm not sure. All I know is they look decent from a distance. Like you come way over here and you're like, wow, that looks pretty good. And I think the color of the wheels actually matches up with the color of the silver trim there. I could be wrong. It could just be trying to picture it better in my head, but to me that's what it looks like. Anyway, other than that, on the exterior, nothing really has changed visually in terms of modifications. Oh wait. Oh yeah, I forgot that. Yep, that's right. We have a full exhaust system now instead of it just dumping at the cat. Yeah, the goal of this car is just kind of been to do it cheap. So I found the cheapest shop I could to do that, because I can't weld, so that was out of the question. But I found the cheapest shop I could to weld it up, and that cost me about $300 to get a full exhaust from the cat's back, custom piping all the way back. So yeah, it makes it sound a lot better on the inside. Unfortunately, I'm still dealing with an exhaust leak that it has right around the cat on the passenger side, but that's okay. We can deal with that later. And you may be noticing now the tail lights are actually like off and not on constantly. That was as easy as just throwing in a new brake light switch under the brake pedal over there, and that solved that issue, which is cool. And yeah, the Infiniti badge, it fell off a bit, so, but that's okay, because I literally have a replacement here. Please be unlocked. It is. I literally have a replacement here ready to go on. Just need to go to Home Depot, get some 3M adhesive, double-sided adhesive, and we're good to go there. And yeah, I really heart my grand dogs, and I'd rather be driving a Titleist. So, yeah, that's all the exterior stuff, really. Let's talk about stuff that you can't just see on the outside. So, let's start under the hood, where, admittedly, it still won't look like much has changed, but I promise, things have changed. For one thing, no more crowbar to hold the hood up. I've got hood struts now. And yeah, that was like one of the first things I did, threw hood struts in, which went horribly wrong for some reason, because this guy over here, he didn't want to thread in correctly, as you can see, so it wanted to thread in diagonally, which was annoying, honestly. But it holds, it's been holding. I open this hood decently frequently. And yeah, here's the engine bay. If you were standing here right now, then you would be like, hey, it smells heavily of oil. And you'd be right. That's because I have not done the valve cover gasket yet on this side, which is causing an oil leak. This side is fine, but I would still do it if I did the valve cover gaskets because, well, you should do both of them at once. Now, what has changed under here that I'm talking about? These cars with these motors, the VH41DE motor, they have one big problem that plagues most of them, and that is the NOx sensors. And if you don't know, the NOx sensors are located about back there, and there. And basically what those do is they sit on each bank of your engine, and they feel the vibrations. If it vibrates weird, then they throw a code up to the computer, and they retard the timing down significantly, about 20 degrees or so probably. Well, 20 degrees is what it does on an LS. I don't know what, or an LT rather. I don't know what it does on this. So I'm assuming around 20 as well. Probably something like that. But that, it's not the case for this car. It's not detecting that it's knocking or anything like that. Because when your engine knocks, you kind of know it, because it not only vibrates weird, but it makes a loud pinging noise. But that's not the case here. The case here is that whoever put these knock sensors in from the factory chose very poor ones or something similar, because they just fail. They just fail, and that leaves you with like half your horsepower. And yeah, that was an issue that plagued me right from the start, common with these cars. So I went ahead and knocked that out, which required removing the upper plenum, intake plenum, the intake manifold, and then you could access the knock sensors, which you can't tell from all the mess around here, all these pipes and all the sensors around. That was an annoying job to do. Now, I personally did not do that, although I spectated it happening, because I I wanted to know how it was done in general. But I had a buddy knock it out, and while he was doing that, I was trying to figure out where this exhaust leak was to try and see if I could do anything about that. I did not locate it because I did not have the ability to jack the car up at that moment. Now, watching him has given me the confidence to know that, hey, if I really wanted to, I could just remove a lot of this here to knock out the valve cover gasket, because it looks like there's a lot here, and there is, don't get me wrong, but it's very manageable actually. Our fear was that these hoses would crack and break as we removed them, and that was true for a couple of them, so we did have to get replacement hoses. However, it's all worked out, and now my car makes full power all the time, which is great, because it honestly, it drives so well with full power, and it's awesome. Yeah, it should not ever have, no one should ever have to deal with that issue, because your car feels like it makes 140 horsepower. Anyways, that's all that's under the hood. Yeah, that's all that's really on the outside, or the mechanically on the car. Oh yeah, I actually figured out there's a blown shock there. I don't know if I said that in my first video, but if not, there's a blown shock on this wheel, which has made things a little annoying, because every time you go over a bump on that wheel specifically, it rattles a lot for a quick second. Stepping inside though, you can see not much has changed. There's no monster sticker here anymore, because it's not that trashy anymore. I consider this it's a decent little vehicle now. I mean, it's still a project car, don't get me wrong. However, I think it's a little stepped up. I've really done decent things with this car. I just had an oil change too, so that was fun to do, because the oil filter there, and I should have shown you guys that, is located in a very inconvenient place, and it was on too tight. So I had to basically, at the end of the day, after a lot of trial and error with it, and you know what, I will show you guys it. I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to actually try and provide you guys content. There we go. I don't know if we'll be able to see it from this angle, but we'll try. The oil filter is down there. I'm trying to see it with my own eyes too. There you go. You can see it there. That white sort of cylinder there. It looks gray on the camera, but it's white. That is the oil filter. And no, you cannot come at it from the bottom. The cross member is there and it will block you, which is awesome. So yeah, that was a lot of trial and error to get done because unfortunately, a pair of oil filter pliers will not fit there and be able to turn. But what we ended up doing is we ended up bending it with a pair of normal pliers. And then we could take one of our claws that I just recently purchased for this occasion and basically twisted it, and it was able to get a grip since it was bent and take it off, which was annoying. And I made sure to hand tighten the next one. Yeah, so I guess that was my fault that was on so tight, because I've done an oil change once before on this thing, and I guess I tightened it too much back then somehow. But I did the good old what they recommend. Some people recommend just doing hand tight and a quarter turn with a ratchet, and that's what I did last time, but apparently that made it really hard to get off this time. So this time I just did hand tight. Anyways, let's get on with the interior stuff. So what is different in here? Unfortunately, the interior's gotten worse. The radio does not work at all anymore. Pretty much. Let me power the vehicle on and I can show you what's up. You can see more buttons are missing on it too. And we'll get on to talking about this later, of course. Turn the car on. Wow, cranked first try. Awesome. Yeah, I'm still having that issue where it'll just click and click and click, and then it'll eventually turn over. But this time, it decided to turn over immediately, which is cool. But yeah, this radio is completely broken now. You can turn it on. There's AM. That button switch between FM and AM does nothing. The tape button, it will do something sometimes, but the tape player is broken. CD does nothing, and the CD players are all broken. I can change between AM stations, yeah, the volume knob is very sketchy, but you'll notice there's no sound coming out anyway. That's because we tried to throw an aftermarket radio in this car. I have one at my house with Apple CarPlay, because I thought, oh, it'd be great, have my own music, have directions if I need it, it'd be great. But we threw it in, wired it up, no sound. And after a bit of research, we discovered, oh great, this has the Bose system in it, which means there's an amplifier behind the back seats there. And yeah, there's no real trying to avoid that, trying to bypass it or anything from what we've learned. Justin, he had an Infiniti G20 from around this generation. And on those cars, you could bypass that amp. But for some reason, on these Q45s, you cannot bypass the amp. So, we just have a mangled mess of wires back there. Some are connected, some are not. But nothing is plugged into the amp anymore. So this radio can't make sound if it tried. And, yeah, it's unfortunate because I've had to rip the interior apart to get at it. I wasn't like heaving on the interior or anything. It's just this is so old and brittle. It kind of broke when we were taking it apart. And it's also really inconvenient that the radio didn't work, because you can take this radio out and a double DIN radio will literally slot in the stock mount and screw in. And you can just have a radio with no adapter. Because I bought a universal adapter because no one makes them for this car. But I see why now. You don't need it. The radio will just slide in and screw right up to the stock mount, which is awesome. It's really awesome. Now, that's pretty much it for the interior stuff. Just kind of been enjoying this car, cleaning it up the best I can. The interior's had it cleaned before, but obviously it's an old car. It's been sitting for a while, so I mean, it's not the best thing in the world. And yeah, let's take it for a drive, shall we? in keeping with the spirit of not being lazy, I thought I'd show you where the amp is in a general sense. You'll be able to see it, don't worry. So, if you pull this down, look in there. Uh-oh. Oh, maybe not. Oh, come on. Just give me something. There it is. There's your amplifier, and you can see nothing is plugged into it, which is unfortunate, but oh goodness, I'm breaking everything. So that's where the amplifier is, and also the gas tank is back there too. For some reason, they decided to put the gas tank in between the trunk and the rear seats, which gives you less space in both departments. I don't know. Yeah, you can see nothing's really changed back here. Still a bunch of junk. Also, another thing I forgot to mention is this fuel door is fixed. It no longer comes open on its own. That was an easy fix with a pair of pliers and bending the tab back into place. Anyways, now let's go for our drive. Okay, and now let's drive the car. I gotta admit, I'm doing the driving portion like a while later, as in like many days later than I did the initial portion. No real reason for it, just didn't feel like shooting it at the time, and today's a better day to do it, honestly. Also, forgive the camera if it's acting up because it's on a terrible vent mount. Yay! Anyway, this is much more tolerable in here. I don't know if you can tell over video, but it was much better. It's much better sound-wise in here, while also sounding still like a V8. There's just an exhaust leak. I'm sure I mentioned it. There's an exhaust leak like right here that still needs to get worked on. But, I mean, it's a whole lot better than it was. It's not near as droney, and it's just a lot more tolerable in general. And the brake lights work. That's cool. Love that. And as far as the wheels go, honestly, no real difference at all. The size of the wheels, the stock wheels, was 16 inches. The G35 wheels that are on here now are 17 inches. And, well, I'll just give you the tire size, actually. That'd help. The stock size was 215/60 R16. And these ones are 215/55 R16. And I ran some math to see the difference in size between the tires and and basically just how much more they would rotate or how much less they would rotate with this different size. And it turns out there's only really a difference of like 4 revolutions per minute. It's like 811 to 807 or something. So that's always nice, because that means the speedometer is still pretty much accurate, and the ride quality is basically unaffected, because we still have a lot of sidewall. The thickness or the width is the same, so handling is not any different. The tire compound's a little different, just going from one tire to the next. But, yeah, it's really no different, if I'm honest, in terms of driving experience than it once was. I definitely noticed the exhaust a lot more, because, I mean, dumping right here, and you can't really tell, but I'm pointing like at the center console, because that's where it was dumping before, to dumping behind the car where it's not affecting me, it's just affecting whatever's behind me. It's a world of difference, it really is. And the suspension hasn't gotten any better, obviously. Still got the blown shock back there, doing its thing. It's alright, it's whatever. Not much I can do about that right now. I don't feel like taking suspension apart right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned during the video, but I did have the power steering go out on me at one point, and turns out all I needed to do was drain the old fluid, new fluid in, bleed it, and good to go. So that was very lucky. I didn't have to do a power steering pump, because I heard that those are not very fun in this car. So then I had a theory, because I felt it get a little weak on me a couple weeks ago. I think there might be air getting into the system through like the cap. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I'm not a mechanic or anything. This is literally the car I'm learning how to fix cars on. So, because I've loved cars all my life, it's more just now I actually have my hands on one that I feel comfortable actually doing stuff to, and don't feel like, well, this is going to cost me a lot of problems if I don't get this done. Now, that doesn't mean I have been successful in everything I've done, obviously. There's that blown suspension there. Yeah, it doesn't mean I've been successful. There have been a few hiccups and stuff where I've botched some repairs and stuff like that, but really nothing too major, all things considered. But anyways, enough about that tangent. More about this car. Another thing that I really notice compared to the last time you guys saw this is the knock sensors. They're fixed. I make full power now, which is so awesome. This car will do 0 to 60 in an amazing 7.9 seconds. It goes crazy. But in all seriousness, it's a lot better than like the 10 plus seconds it was before. Well, it wasn't quite 10 seconds because it was still faster than the Honda, allegedly. And yeah, basically this car, it just feels much more like a normal car. And I can give you a little example of it here. Yeah. Oh man, it feels so good to have full power in this car. It really does. You might also expect this to help the fuel economy, since I'm not having to lean so much into the throttle to get going up to speed that much, but no, not really. I've gained like 0.5 mpg, which is a little sad, I'll be honest. I was kind of expecting at least a couple mpg jump, but not 1/2 of an mpg. I went from averaging like 16.4 to 16.9 or something like that, so oh well. I mean, I signed up for it when I saw that this car had a V8 in it, so I'm not surprised. And I mean, I still got the Honda if I want to save some gas money. But yeah, really, I'm enjoying the heck out of this car. I love it. Yeah, just kind of dealing with all the weird little quirks of this car, like the lack of radio, which I don't mind that much. I got a Bluetooth speaker in here, and a lot of the times I just want to listen to the engine anyway. So, I mean, there's no real big complaints. The AC doesn't work. That's going to get real annoying later in this season. And yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a running and driving car for free, so I can't be too mad. I mean, the windows work, sunroof works. As you can see, it's cracked open right now. And yeah, it's just a matter of just driving and enjoying it, really, unless I want to get real specific. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Future plans, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but future plans, I'd like to get the exhaust leak fixed most of all. I'd like to see if I can deal with the AC. That's like very close contention for first priority. And then I doubt I'll get around to the radio, but that's probably third. I don't really feel like I have a need to do the radio. It's not important to me. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to see more, because I will have more coming out. I'll try and update more stuff on cars. I got a Honda review coming out soon. Well, Honda review, more like Honda update. I've had the car for 2 years now, which is insane to me. And I mean, I just haven't had to make much content on it because it's been reliable. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.